that game was like, I don't know. Can you explain that experience? And I'm sure, do you still get asked about, I guess, the celebration after that game?
A lot of people love that story. That game was wild to me for a lot of reasons. I tried out for the 2006 Olympics in Torino, Italy, and was cut. I was a young player at the time, and I probably played the worst hockey I'd ever played in my entire life leading up to that. And the whole time I remember being like, I'm a really bad hockey player. Like, what am I doing out here? And then like thinking to myself, what if they take me? Like, I'm a liability. Do you know what I mean? And
Wow.
Yeah.
and for whatever reason, it was just a moment that was just a little bit too big for me. I honestly feel like I had some maturing to do on that side of things to fully understand the magnitude and the way to properly prepare and train and recover like a pro. Mark, I'm sure you can relate to that. And so when 2010 came around and I was like, all right, I know what I'm getting into here. I know how to handle a centralized season. I know what it takes to make the team. I know what kind of hockey I want to play, and to make it and to have it be in Vancouver, like in Canada. And then to see Canada come alive the way it did, like our athletes village was looking across the water into downtown. And I remember we all got together in our common area and we were watching Alex Bilodeau do his thing. And when he won, it was nice there in February. We had our patio door open, which seems strange, but it's Vancouver. When he won, we could hear the horns honking and people cheering from the bars downtown across the water into our room. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now. I have video of it. And fireworks obviously go off, and because Canada won their first gold medal. And we were like, yeah, everyone was cheering and screaming. And then we all sat down and it kind of got quiet. And we were like, wow, okay, like this is it. This is the pressure. Look at how many people are focused and watching every single thing. Like the downtown core, the entire core erupted in cheers, and like people were honking in their cars. So people were listening on their radio. And it was like, okay, guys, we've got a really big job to do. Not only are we defending gold, which is very hard to do, we're trying to defend gold on home soil, which is double whammy. So, I mean, our practices, we were getting coverage, and I was like, I've never seen women's hockey get coverage like this before. This is pretty cool. And then in the final game, when we had gone out for warmups, I'm the type of player that I like to just dink around, skate around, pass pucks off the boards. I like to look at people in the stands just to get a feel for the atmosphere, joke around. Megan Augusta used to join me on it. And it was Megan Augusta and myself, the last two that always walk out of the dressing room, and we always would sing New Orleans is Sinking on our way out. And we got onto the ice, and I remember it being so loud, and there were so many people there. And I thought to myself, well, who comes to warmups, which is weird. And my dad is an OHL scout, and warmups are his favorite because he says that way you can see the guys who can really shoot. So I remember being like, well, there's not that many scouts here. Like, all these people are not scouts. This is insane. People are pumped for this game. And people were cheering. They had flags. There were people like down on the glass, hammering the glass. And I had to take a moment, and I went and took a knee next to Jana Hefford, who was like a stretcher. And she was pretending to stretch her hip flexors. And I remember I looked at her and I went, holy shit. And she looked at me and she went, I know. And then I thought to myself, here's a wily vet, a girl who's done it all. She scored the game winner in 2002. She's been there, done that, knows what it's all about. And even she was like, wow, this is something. So I was like, okay, these feelings are confirmed. I'm okay to be feeling them. This is awesome. Take it all in. And I remember like, I rarely skated fast in warmups. I rarely even pivoted. And I remember like skating away so fast, being like, this is awesome. And then telling Megan, like, this is crazy. She was like, I know. I'm like, she's like, this is going to be so much fun. And it was. And that's the crazy thing is it was so much fun. There's one moment in the game that I remember. Erica Lawler played for the American team, and she was so fast and so sneaky out there. And I knew she was on me. And I went to go cut around the net with the puck, my own net, and cut close to try and knock her into it. And she's just as fast lateral as she was forward. And she jumped around the outside of me and managed to stick check me and get the puck and got a chance on net. And Shannon Zabados came up huge, as she does. And I skated to the bench, really ticked off at myself, and I kicked the boards. I smashed my stick, and I said a not nice word or two. And Kim St. Pierre, who everyone assumed was going to be playing that game, wasn't. She was on the bench, and she kind of put her hand on my back, and she smiled, and she looked at me, and she's like, "Tessie, shake it off. Look around. Look how many people in here would pay a lot of money to change places with you."
Yep.
And I was like, wow, if she could have been a disgruntled teammate, she could have been someone who was ticked off because she thought that was her game and just been disinterested. But she wasn't. She knew that it was important for her to share her experience and her knowledge of what it means to play for Team Canada in a situation like that, and to make sure I got my head on straight so that I was playing properly when I went back out there in order for our team to win the game. And that moment stuck with me, has stuck with me forever. And Kim St. Pierre, we call her Kimmy Gibbler, is probably one of my favorite teammates that I ever have. One, because she had no idea who Kimmy Gibbler was until I gave her a full house season for her birthday. And when she finally figured out who Kimmy was, she wasn't too happy. But two, because of that, she was in it to win it. And that's all she cared about. And she's a Hockey Hall of Famer now, and rightfully so. And then obviously the celebrations, I always knew that the women would go on the ice and take pictures with the Lucky Looney. And I was so pumped to do that. And so we went back to our or when we were waiting to get our medals, there was a couple standing behind me, and they had these shutter shades on. And I had been trying for the entire Olympics to get my hands on a pair of these. I went into every shop, and everyone's like, sold out, sold out, sold out. And I'm like, there's no way everyone's sold out. Like, someone's lying. And so I saw them, and before every game, I would get all the players to sign a busted up practice stick. And at the end of the game, I would usually go and give it to a little girl, whoever was in the stands.
Nice.
And so I turned around, and it was this couple, and I looked at the guy, and I'm like, those, I want them. And he's like, yeah. And the wife took them off of his head and threw them over the glass. They went into the American bench. The American coach handed them to me. I'm like, thank you, 1 second. So I went back and delivered my stick. And so I had my shutter shades, and we're going back to the dressing room, and I'm so pumped. And we walk in our rooms, and we got those massive beers in our stalls. And in my stall are 2 boxes of cigars. And I thought, like, well, this is cool. They must have put, and I'm looking around, and no one else had them. I'm like, well, they must have put them in my stall, because I was a little bit of the social convener for the team, making sure that the ladies always had something for them to do. So I was like, oh, this is for sure the reason they put me in charge. Little did I know, my sister and my cousin Ryan had organized a delivery of cigars from a cigar shop, and they did like a cigar deal on the corner of the street outside of the arena, and had them dropped off. So lit up the cigars, grabbed the big beers, went out and had a time on the ice. And we had to apologize for it, but no part of it were we apologetic for, because if I had to do it a million times over, I would do it even better.
Absolutely.
Who came after you for that? Like, where was the outrage coming from? I'm just curious.
The outrage was, one, we were smoking in an Olympic venue. And then two, which fine, sorry. Not sorry, and then two was that Marie-Philippe Poulin, the young woman who scored the 2 goals to win us said gold medal, was 18 years old, turning 19 in 10 days. She was legal to drink in her home province, but not legal to drink in BC. I would love to meet the parent who wouldn't allow their 18-year-old daughter to take a swig of beer after scoring the only 2 goals in an Olympic gold final to win the Olympic gold for her country. I mean, it was hilarious and ridiculous. And actually, Wally, I remember getting tweets from parents and stuff of their like 13-year-old hockey teams after winning, celebrating with like non-alcoholic champagne and these shutter shades that I wanted, and like these chocolate stogies. And I'm like, look at what we've inspired. This is so cool. And the best part is after the men won, I was getting texts from like Shea Weber and Rick Nash being like, yo, Hood Hockey Canada gave you guys those cigars. I'm like, no one, call my sister. She's got a number for you if you want some.